Would you be able to tell us if we had an entity attached to us right now? Or?
I mean, I could. Do you really want that news out there?
Do we want?
I wouldn't mind.
Oh my goodness! Oh
hello,
my gosh!
Hello.
Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of After We Wrap
with your host Jaina and Ortiz.
And I'm Gabriella Ortiz.
Let's get right to it.
This is really exciting. Jaina's very, very excited. I'm having mic issues, so I'm just gonna hold him right here, in between.
Hold him right between. Just it's nice and comfy.
And today we are vampires.
Today we are vampires
without fangs.
Sans fangs.
The fangs are resting.
Sans fangs.
But just imagine we got fangs here, right?
Yes.
Anyways, okay, focus, guys. Today we have an incredible guest. She's not just Hollywood's premier exorcist and a best-selling author. She's also an award-winning writer for film and television. So trust when we say this, you guys don't want to miss this, ladies and gentlemen. Rachel Stavis. Welcome to After We Wrap. Thank you for being here.
How are you?
I'm good. I love fall. It's my favorite season.
Yes, I love fall too.
I'm a winter girl, or maybe summer. I don't know. But yes,
I do love the fall. I do
One of
love
those.
the fall. Sweater weather.
Yes, I
Sweater
love it.
weather.
Pumpkin everything. I'm
Pumpkin
definitely that
everything.
person.
Are you a
basic? Yeah,
latte,
very
pumpkin
basic.
spice everything?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Can
I
we
love
focus
it.
on her shoes really quick right now?
I
don't
know.
know if the camera.
They're gold with snakes on them.
And they're beautiful.
They're
I
Gucci,
love them.
Oh, they're
just
Gucci.
saying.
Gucci. They're looking mighty Gucci. That's I know a friend who was like, "Oh, that's Gucci. That's Gucci." Like
That's
he
Gucci.
used Gucci to describe like how.
Oh, really? Now that's
Gucci.
That's Gucci. Okay, just to add another word to our
I
vocabulary.
know.
Okay, so slay queen. Okay, Rachel. All right, focus. So let's go back, not to like the day you were born, but like tell us a little bit about when and how you found that you had this gift.
Sure. So, when I was a kid, I realized quickly that I was born with the ability to see entities, what people think are monsters or demons or whatever. And I didn't know that was weird, because why would you?
Yeah.
It was scary, but I thought everybody had it. So I started complaining about monsters under my bed and monsters in the closet like kids do. And then, parents would come in and say there's nothing there. And for me, it just would not go away. Yeah. So I started talking about it more when I was, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7. And I learned very quickly that that's crazy and other people don't see that. So I stopped talking about it because there are lots of reasons to not be normal, and I didn't need like an extra one, So I tried to be normal. I tried to just block it out as much as I could and kind of, suppress it. And I wanted to be a writer. So I went on to do that. And I came out to LA, and I was writing for video games at the time. And I had this situation, and it's not a near-death situation or anything like that, like it usually is, but I had a fender bender, and it was just like one stress too many that week, like too many stressors. And suddenly I couldn't block my sight as well anymore. So when you were seeing someone like on the side of the road screaming at nothing, like I was seeing what they were screaming at.
What?
And I was seeing entities everywhere, like much more than I had before. So at that point, I was like, okay, I either have to like check myself in, or I need to figure out what this is. So instead of trying to close it up completely, like I've been doing most of my life, I opened it up, and I just said, okay, y'all up there, like, why do I have this? What do I do with it? And I actually just started listening to them and allowing it in, I guess. And that's how it happened.
Did you talk to someone? Was there someone in your life who you confided in and said, hey, this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm seeing. What?
I had a couple of friends, and it was so funny because those are the people who let me work on them first, because I didn't trust myself yet to work on just anybody. So I was like, okay, this is going to be super weird, but now can I work on you?
Yeah.
And they were like, wait, I have entities. So that's how it starts.
So wait, you have been ever since you were a kid, like nonstop, as a teenager, as an adult, like it just never ended?
No, and thank goodness, because now I'm able to use it to help people. You know, it was something I was supposed to have, and I've kind of made amends with the fact that it's weird and I'm weird, and you know, it's scary, and oh well, like that's my life.
Wow.
When you knew it wasn't like quote unquote a normal thing that other people were experiencing, did you have to second guess your mental health? Like, did you?
I mean, sure, of course, you know, but I was luckily surrounded by a few spiritual people at the time, and so it wasn't like out of left field when when it came back at that time, I was already kind of talking to people that I trusted, and I was like, here's this, and they had warned me actually, like I know some weird people, like some cool weird people.
Okay.
I have a friend who's like a literal oracle who lives in Australia. His name is Ben, and he had told me like, this is coming back. Like everybody had been like, this is coming back.
What?
So I was like, okay, but I didn't know that I was really ready for that. But you know, spirit has a mind of its own. You're ready before you are ready. So I guess I was ready.
Wow. All I can think of is like the beginning of the movies where the child, you know, it's like, I see something, I see someone. And then the parents are like, you're not seeing exactly what was happening.
Stop lying.
But
Come
it's
on.
real.
It's your imaginary friend.
But it's real.
Yeah, it's real.
Well, sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes,
exactly.
yeah.
For
I
some
believe
special
it.
people.
You know,
I believe it too. And I just, for the record, I just want to say that I am opening up, and I'm serious. I'm open to receive, because while it may be scary for some people, I do feel like there are good, positive, peaceful, like angels that protect you, and
all of it. And opening yourself up to spirit is actually a very good thing, which, you know, we don't even have to get into the details of it, but a lot of people think it's bad. You know, you're taught when you're young, especially if you're very religious or grow up in a religious household, like if you touch tarot cards, you're going to die, or, you know, you're opening yourself up to bad things if you open yourself up. That's not true. It's actually not true, because the way entities work is they'd rather you be unconscious of their existence, and they don't respect your free will. High beings respect your free will, so they're not going to interfere in your life unless you want them to. So opening yourself up allows the high beings to communicate with you while helping you with entities.
I love that.
My mind is blown.
So wait, you've helped over 8,000 people as an exorcist. What would you say is the most common? What's the most common misconception that people have about what you do?
Well, you know, I think there's a couple. So I think when people think about exorcists or exorcism, they think movie style, right? So it's always a priest, you know, it's not someone who is not religious. It's not, it has to do with Christ particularly, and all of these things, which is not true either, you know. And I think they think every attachment or every entity or possession is movie style. So it's like the extreme version of everything, when most of the time what people are walking around with is nothing close to that most of the time.
Wow.
Whoa. I know. I'm not freaked out at all.
So, okay.
No, not at all.
Could you walk us through one of your sessions? Like, what is, you know, step by step? How does it go?
Well, first, let me say too, I guess this is still under the misconceptions. What I do, in my opinion, is very light work. Because in order to help people, you have to go into dark places. And my particular darkness is not everybody's particular darkness. So, for example, you have a lot of mediums who are like, I would like to help people communicate with the deceased, but I'm not touching that.
Yeah.
You know, so we all have our kind of specific things that we do, and this happens to be mine, you know? So when people come to me, it's not that way anymore, because I'm a little more well-known than I was, but back in the day when it was much more creepy for people to come to me, you know, because they didn't know and they'd never seen me like on TV or whatever, they were nervous, right? Because it's kind of a last resort for people. So they're coming there as like, I've done everything. Somebody had a good experience here, told me about it, so now I'm here. So the first thing that I like to do is I like to talk to people. So we have kind of a therapy session.
Okay.
You know, because I want to put them at ease. I want to walk through the experience for them. I want to tell them like what their guides are saying. That's a very important part of the work also, because when we sit down and we talk, I always ask people, and it's kind of like, now I feel like I'm baiting people when I say this because it's always like a different story. But I always ask them, why did you want to do this? And then they'll say something.
I was just about to ask. Yes.
Right? They'll say something. They'll be like, okay, well, I don't know. I feel kind of blocked and I don't know what's going on, or I can't find the relationship, or I don't know, like I can't conceive. I've helped a lot of people conceive, like just a lot of different, it's not what you think. So it's a lot of different things. But what they never tell me is what spirit tells me. So what spirit tells me, I like to call it, they tell me the branches, spirit tells me the root, right? So they'll come in and they'll say, well, I have addiction issues. And spirit will say, well, that's because of the inherent unworthiness you're carrying from, when you were 4 and this happened.
Wow.
So, they think they're coming in to treat their addiction problems potentially in a different way, right? But the reality is we're trying to treat what caused all of those things, what caused you to medicate in the first place.
Yes, it's so much deeper. Yes.
It's so much deeper.
Wow. Yeah.
It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
And you're right. You have to address, like, you can't just start from present. It's like therapy. You
No,
have to go
you have
way
to
back
unlock. So how entity works, how it attaches is not based in religion at all. It's energy, right? We're all energy. Everything's energy. Everything gives off some kind of energy. And we walk around this earth with what I call a baseline frequency, which is, how we interact with ourselves, the world, how conscious we are, how nice we are. I mean, a lot of things that, you've heard, like be nice to other people and whatever, but it's all true. It's all about that energy. So, if on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is dead and 10 is Buddha, most people are walking around like a 4, pretty unconscious, pretty mad at everything,
Right.
not caring about how they treat people or animals or the earth or any of this stuff. When we work on ourselves, we can raise that, right? So you suddenly are going to therapy or meditating or yoga or whatever works for you, and you're starting to raise your vibration. You're starting to raise that frequency, but it takes time.
Yeah.
When we have trauma, that baseline frequency takes a hit. And we do not live in a culture that teaches us how to get out of that.
Yeah.
So oftentimes that goes down quick, right? And we don't know how to fix it. We try lots of ways to fix it, and that, again, takes time. But when it goes down, that's how attachment comes in, because attachment is low frequency. So all of these entities are low frequency, and they're looking for exact signature matches to attach to. So it can't go from person to person to person like you see in movies. That doesn't work unless everyone in the room has the exact signature match.
Okay.
So it's looking for somebody. It's always looking for somebody. And once you send out that signal, that's how they get there.
Wow.
So it's all trauma based, honestly.
Wow.
Okay.
Whoa. Can you read? Can you?
Hold on. I'm still processing.
No. Could you see aura colors, like when you talk about energies and?
I don't see auras.
Okay.
That is
okay.
not it's not my forte. I don't see auras. I really just see deceased people, entities, and high beings.
Okay, so are we talking about like ghosts, like
Ghosts.
or ghosts?
Ghosts are not entities.
How is
I was just
Yes.
about to ask that.
Not entities.
Okay, what is the difference?
So a ghost is a deceased person. Somebody who's existed as a person. Entities are what people call demons. They are not human beings.
The entities.
Can
Can a demon be a good, nice demon? Like
I mean,
friendly?
I won't say there's nice demons per se, but that's why I usually use the term entities, because not all of those things are bad necessarily.
Okay.
Call an entity once a trickster?
Yeah, well, there I have like a whole like subspecies of the ones that I deal with most of the time.
Okay.
So you do have entities that just pass through. They don't interact with people at all.
Okay.
They're just like coming through. I don't know from wherever they go to wherever they're going.
Right.
Yeah.
My mind is.
know,
The whole time I
like,
thought
I'm really
it was.
trying to process it.
Yeah, I thought it was like a ghost type of.
Yeah.
entity,
Ghosts really
but-
don't possess people. That it's not. That doesn't happen. But they can be annoying.
Uh-huh.
They can bother people. Like they're who they were in life for the most part when they die. But I am like a deceased person's advocate, so I'm always like, don't be afraid of ghosts. Like ghosts are not
Yeah.
I like love
scary.
that.
They're just people. They're just people who happen to be dead. The only time that changes, where ghosts possess people, is you do have religious ceremonies or cultures where they invite in ancestors into the body, so they can come in for a certain amount of time to do that.
Do you have anyone in your life who has passed away, and can you feel their presence, or can
Oh, I can talk to deceased people. Deceased people don't shut up.
I
You know,
wish-
you know
That
how
makes
many
me
ghost
sad, though,
hunting
because
shows they've asked me to do, and I'm like, there's no hunt.
Oh,
It would be no hunt. It'd be over in 2 seconds. I would be like, there's one. Here's what they have to say. Like,
I want to talk. It makes me sad because I want to talk to my mom. I mean, I do talk to her, but I wish that I had that power, that sort of gift that you have.
everybody has mediumship ability. Every single person on this earth, that is your birthright. Your birthright is to be able to speak to spirit and to those who have passed. All you have to do is relearn how to do it. So I can teach you how to do that. It's something that everyone should relearn, because when you come in as a child, you can see kids know how to raise their vibration. They talk to invisible people all the time.
Yes.
Right? They come in with all that knowledge because they're close to spirit. They just came in. Right?
Yes.
That's why you get some kids who come in and we're like, hey, I was shot down in 1942, you know, and I met grandma at this.
Yeah.
To the boat or the ship.
Yeah,
like,
they know.
Yes. It's so nuts.
Because they're so close to spirit, but eventually they'll lose that if it's not nurtured. And our culture doesn't nurture that. We're like,
Right.
that's weird. That's creepy. We don't want that.
Right.
Or like, you can't, you know, once you're dead, you're dead. Or like, you know, we just don't nurture spirituality in children that much. And I mean, maybe more now. Maybe people are a little more open to it now.
Yeah.
But like, certainly wasn't for me, right? So it's an unlearning of all the bullshit now and the relearning of the gifts you came in with.
Wow.
okay. So I'm like, wow.
It's
right
a lot
now.
of information.
It is
Yeah,
a
it is.
lot. But when it comes to like, when you say like you talk to the entities, you talk to the ghosts, like we have that power within us since we're born. But what happens when, maybe I'm talking from personal experience, what happens when you don't get a response back and you keep trying to look for that response and it doesn't happen, and then you kind of lose hope, and then you're just like, well, fuck this. There's nothing. I'm not seeing the signs that I'm asking for.
Sure.
That does
I
not
was
make
just gonna
sense.
say, you see it in. I see it in signs. I see it. Those are the little gifts.
But when those signs never show up,
Well,
or maybe you're not paying
stop looking,
attention.
maybe.
Yeah.
there are a couple of things for
Okay.
that. So first of all, you should never talk to entities. So I don't advocate talking to entities.
Okay. Okay.
I guess
That's not the same as deceased people. Deceased people, different story. So deceased people you can talk to all the time. So you have to understand that it's hard for them to get messages to you when you're not used to using that ability. So there's a whole step-by-step process that I teach people. It's all on my Instagram. It's like, it's my 30-day connection to spirit, basically. And I give it to everybody for free, and I teach everybody to do it, because that will reconnect you to your ability to listen. And they do send signs first, because this isn't ready. You know what I mean?
Ooh, okay.
So, because to get to the point where you actually hear it takes time, because you have to rebuild that muscle. It's your training. So you're not there yet when you're starting from zero, but you will get there. So in the meantime, we have to raise your vibration. We have to have you focus on gratitude. We have to have you ask for certain signs. We have to have you pay attention to those signs and take them all in, because when you shut it down, you shut it down. Because like
Yeah,
I said,
I believe
high
that.
beings, they respect your free will. So if you tell spirit, I fuck this, I don't want this now, they go, okay.
Huh.
You know,
Wow.
it's a process. It takes
Yeah.
time.
I guess a lot of patience
Takes 30
too.
days.
30 days. Oh, wow.
Have you had any scary experiences during
I
the
have
next?
so many scary experiences. Yes,
Can
I
you-
have.
What was the one that like still?
So there's one that it's crazy. I can't fully share this one because there's something going on with it right now. So my friend and manager, Kaylee Marsh, she was at my house like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, months ago. now, actually. And she had asked me the same thing. What's your scariest story? Like, I really want to know what your scariest story is. And I thought about it and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm not sure, because I've just had so many experiences at this point. Like, I was like, which one? And then I started thinking, like, I couldn't let it go. And I kept thinking about it and I kept thinking about it. And of course, like, the one that I tried to block out of my mind was the one that I was like, oh, I guess that's it.
Yeah.
So it was actually a place. I was exercising a place because there are entities in spaces as well. And it was something that was so scary for me that she was like, write that down for me. And I want to share it with the entire world. And I was like, oh my God, okay, God, go be with us when I do this. But so I can't speak on that one yet. But I will tell you that some of my scariest times are not actually exorcisms at all. They are visitations. So I get what I call bad moons. And I used to call it like a paranormal period, because it was like once every like 6 weeks. They're less frequent now, but they were when I was like really busy and taking on way too many people and doing way too much stuff. I would get them a lot, and they're visitations by an entity I call a trickster. And what a trickster does is it convinces people that it's something positive in their life, so it forms a symbiotic relationship with people. So that's one that people actually see, but they see it as imaginary friends or deceased relatives or archangels, or I mean like weird stuff. Like, I've personally had clients who were like, yeah, I've had this dragon with me since I was 5. It's like, that's a trickster, you know, but it's been there their whole life. And then they're like, oh, actually, I think my life might be terrible now, so I think it should go.
Yeah.
Right? But when I get visitations from tricksters that are not attached to people. And I think they're, I don't know the motivation exactly, but I think they're curious about how I see them or what, because they kind of get around unnoticed for the most part. And what makes it scary is I get visited by what I call ancient tricksters. So they're older. They're the ones that are like, oh, I've been around and I'm checking this out and I don't know what this is and I need to know. And their goal is to try and get in. Like, that's the goal. They're not successful, thank goodness, because I protect myself real well and I'm hyper vigilant. But I had one time come, and this one was a bad one. It was very malevolent feeling. I felt it before it was there. And I heard the electrical popping sounds that tend to come with them. Like, these ones in particular have this electricity sound that comes with them. And I knew, because it came first, I was like, oh God, like, it's coming. It's definitely going to manifest.
Oh, shit.
So it did. And it was a man, like, because they always try to look human, but they're not very good at it. So it's like the worst thing you can think of, but looks like a human, because it can't fully form as a human. Like, it's just not very good at it. So it was a man, and he manifested it was like a bald man. He manifested in like, one of those like white undershirt things and like white underwear. And he was standing over, I was sideways like this at the end of the bed. And he was standing next to me, like looking over me, just standing there.
No.
And why I say it doesn't work as a human is they can't keep a face shape. So the eyes and the nose and the mouth were just moving a lot. Like, it just doesn't form very well.
Yeah,
like, it's messy. So once again, like, he wanted to get a closer look at me, but not good at being human. So he bent all the way to the side instead of over. So it was like completely sideways. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to push this away. Like, get the fuck out. Like,
Do you actually say that? Like,
oh yeah,
get out of here.
I teach people also too, like, when they're dealing with things, even things, just any energy that they don't like, I'm like, you tell it to get the fuck out. You don't just say get out, because what you're actually doing is raising your vibration. You're standing in your power when you do that, when you curse.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, you need to get the fuck out. Like, go, whatever. And it eventually went, but it went so slowly that it unmanifested. So which is very unusual, but old ones do whatever they want. They're old. So, they're like, I've had a life. I'm gonna do what I want. So he unmanifested like from the waist up first and just left the bottom. And then the rest went, and then the electric sound. Yeah.
What do you think his intentions were?
That one, like I say, I think the visitations are more curious than anything. There are times where they do try to get in. That particular one did not try to get in. He was just like wanting to see or whatever. Mm-hmm. I've had other visitations where they've tried to get in. So I always talk about the first one I ever had, like when I started working on people. Such a mess. It was such a mess. I was in my bedroom. Obviously, these always happen at night. They're just very strong at like 3 o'clock in the morning, like 2 to 5 a.m. kind of. So
of course.
I had this is so weird. Okay, I'm just going to say it. Yeah. I had my Peloton in my room.
A Peloton?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
My bike.
The bike?
I had my bike. Now I have it all, but I had my bike in the corner of the room, and I had a bathroom where it was like a glass-ish door, so you could see when the light was on.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So the light was on in the bathroom, and the door was closed, so I could see, I guess is what I'm saying, like into the room. Like it wasn't like pitch dark or anything. And keep in mind, I'd never had this before, so this was like real weird. And now it's like, oh, it's you. But, but at the time I was like, oh my God. So anyway, there was a girl walking around the room, a blonde girl, very normal looking girl, ponytail. And she was throwing like my clothes, like a shirt or something, like over the side of the Peloton, like on the bike's front.
Yeah.
Like it was like a hanger, like just, throwing stuff. I don't remember if like my closet was open or my hamper was open or something, but she was just doing that. And she was like, oh, so that thing I told you about. And I was like, what? I had no idea what was going on. She's just talking. And she's like, yeah, that thing, it has ghosts in it. And I was like, that's such a bizarre, first of all, thing to say. Like, what has ghosts in it? And also, like, who is this person? Like, what is happening right now? So I just kind of like laid there for a minute, and I was pretty stunned, and I didn't know what was going on because she didn't look like an entity at the time, So she just kept going back and forth, putting clothes on top of it. And she's like, yeah, you got to take it off. It's got a ghost in it. And I was like, what is she? And then I was like, I think I might have said like, what or whatever. And she was like, the ring, you got to take it off. It has ghosts in it. And I looked down at my hand, and at the time I was married, and I had put protection on my wedding ring. And so I was like, oh shit, she's trying to get me to take off a protected item, because I didn't have tattoos. I didn't have any of those things yet. I wasn't sophisticated enough for that. I had to go through some shit before I did that. So immediately I was like, who are you? And the second I did it, she swooped over my laying down body, was here in my face, and tried to push in.
What was she? She was trying to be you.
She was trying to get in. She was trying to get in. She was trying to possess.
I gotta ask a question. It's the first time I've ever dived in. Okay, I got a question. What is the closest Hollywood project has ever come to matching what they look like, an entity?
Actually, I think one of my favorites is not Hollywood. It's Veronica. Did you ever see where they play with the Ouija board? I think it's Spanish. I want to say it's Spanish.
Oh,
That's
Veronica.
the closest in dealing with an entity, I think.
we have to watch
It's
it.
yeah, the way they do it is really cool. And then I'm on the spot here because I have to remember all these films' names.
Okay.
I think Deliver Us from Evil was a really good one in terms of dealing with a real possession. But it's also based on a true story.
Wow.
And it's it's the most dealing with an entity like film I've seen that's accurate.
Wow.
And Deliver Us from Evil was based on a true story, and they did a really, really good job on that.
Wow.
I love what they did. Deliver us, devil. Like, it's like deliver.
Yeah.
Devil.
And also, I do say quite often there are not a lot of possession movies that I think are very realistic. I've said that so long that now I'm working on two projects.
I was gonna ask. Yeah.
Yeah, my TV series, which is totally different than any of this. It's actually a half-hour comedy.
I love that.
Dark.
I love
Dark
that.
But
comedy.
also now this short story that's going out.
Okay,
Whoa.
question. Okay, no.
Go ahead.
Because back to the man in the underwear
Yes.
that bent, the bent man. I remember I had a sleep paralysis. Only one time it happened, and it was at night, 3-something in the morning.
That's definitely entity. Sleep
It
paralysis
tried
is
to kill
entity.
me.
Wait, what's
So
sleep
I'm
paralysis?
sleeping where you open, like you're awake, but you can't move your body.
I think yes.
I've only had it one time when I lived in Atlanta in this very old house, and it was the first time I experienced anything like that. All I could remember is me screaming, "Help, help, help," and not being able to move, and my eyes are like wide open, and I'm like, and then all of a sudden I just see white boxers. That's all I see.
That's probably that motherfucker who
And then
was bending
I-
over
and-
and went to you.
Yeah, that's why I freaked out when she said that. I'm like, oh my God, I had
Oh,
this situation.
shit.
And I see his body grabbing a pillow and putting it on my face to try to, I guess, suffocate me. And that's when I finally wake up.
And did you have the pillow on your face?
No, I didn't.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So what?
So entity there's a specific type of entity that causes sleep paralysis, and that's what I call a wraith. And wraiths come and they cause that, and they're often what people see as like dark figures during sleep paralysis. They can cause like heaviness in the chest or attack. There are people who are pulled out of their bed and all kinds of things.
So when you said like when he grabbed the pillow, or like this blonde lady when she was like tossing all your clothes, are they able to touch things, or like
Yeah.
do you see the things moved but you don't see what's holding it?
I mean, I can't speak for that because I can see what's holding it, so I don't know. You'd have to ask your audience because, like, someone would probably be able to tell you that.
But it was just like I still can't get over it.
Yeah, well, that's a visitation for sure. Yeah.
Could it be because I was in a very old house? Like it's very,
I mean, wraiths are usually attached to sexual trauma. So any kind of like, even things that are, where you're exposed to something too early as a child, like you can get wraiths, unfortunately. But you can also have generational wraiths, which is a little more rare, but
Ooh, okay.
generational wraiths can happen as well, where it's somebody in your lineage who had
in
that.
in the family, so the home has nothing to do with it.
If it was that, like I didn't see it, Yeah.
Yeah.
But ghosts don't usually try to kill you.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
don't, they don't
that's good.
usually.
I think I had a visitation once. Remember that time when I said my friend gave me a candle from Salem and I lit it and 2-3 in the morning I felt it was like a dark shadow. It was very tall. It was just dark. But I felt it fucking coming up the stairs, coming down the hallway, and coming into my bedroom. And I had to say, "Get out!" But I felt that pressure in the chest that you were talking about, and that was like my first and only experience. But
I mean, yeah, it could have just been a visitation.
have you? Okay, have you? Are you able to turn it off, or is it like a sixth sense that's always running in the background?
I mean, yes and no. I can turn it off. Like I would rather turn it off when I'm like out to dinner or in a movie or at a concert. Like that's a lot of people with a lot of shit, especially in movies because I can see them on screen. Like I can see which actor has what entity.
Stop.
So it used to be very distracting. I've kind of gotten used to it now. Yeah, it's almost hilarious sometimes because people are like, well, because we live here, so people are always like, who's got what? But I never share. I don't share.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm in a movie and I'm like, oh, someone like whoever I'm with is like, oh, someone's got it. But yeah, so I do turn it off to a certain degree, but it depends on how bad it is. Because if it's really bad, I'll still see it. So like a case in point, I years ago went to spin class. I would go to spin class, and I went to the same spin class every like whatever morning. And of course, like there's a routine there where like it's a lot of the same people go the same hours as you. It's the same spin class, and you know how everybody's like, I like my own bike, and like this is the bike I like, you know, whatever. So there was a woman who would go to the class with me who always chose the bike in front of me. And for some reason, I was like, I got a really bad vibe from this person. And I don't usually get that right away with someone I've never talked to. Like, I get it from people I've talked to, sure.
Right,
but like,
right,
I've
right.
never talked to her. And I was like, and she seemed very nice. And I was like, why am I like this? God, there's something wrong with me. Like, forget it. So I'm on the bike. Like, I must have seen her so many times. I don't even know. But one day I was on the bike behind her like usual. And she was spinning. And she was like, we were like really going. I don't remember what was happening, but everyone was like really going. And suddenly this entity that she was carrying, it was an entity that she had that was bothering me. The entity that she had, because she's in front of me, removed itself from her and turned around to look at me here. And I was like, oh, that's why. That's why.
Wow,
I tried to
you
turn it
felt
off.
that.
You know what I mean? So I wasn't focused on that at all. But then it got a little cocky, I guess. So it wanted to show itself, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I got you. I see you."
Would you be able to tell us if we had an entity attached to us right now? Or?
I mean, I could. Do you really want that news out there?
Do we want?
I wouldn't mind.
I would say, let's say a cleansing would not hurt. It would not hurt.
Like a cleansing right now?
Like
I wouldn't be able to do it right now.
physically
Like a
or
A
space?
session.
a session. Gotcha. So we would have to be cleansed before.
I mean, listen, there's a little trauma going on. There's a little stuff. Because, I should also say that one thing exorcism people don't tell you in movies is probably because they don't do it, but you should do it, is to remove the trauma that caused that in the first place out of the body. Because otherwise, you're sending a mixed energy signal out there. So if you're vibrating, let's say at like, I'm a 6, I'm doing awesome, but you're holding a one energy trauma, that's mixed messages that actually block you even from manifesting things. So it's helpful to take all that stuff out. So when you take entity out, you got to release a lot of that trauma too. It's unethical not to.
So these entities, are they responsible for like all depression, self hate, or
I can't say that.
Okay.
I would never say that. I think mental health is a very important issue, and I just don't think that they are mutually exclusive. I think we've been taught that that's mutually exclusive for so many years. Like, the church has their checklist of like, well, this person's just crazy though.
right?
Well, okay, maybe they have something going on like that is harming them mentally, but also they might also still have entity, which just makes everything worse.
How would you? What's the ritual for cleansing? Like what? How do you cleanse yourself?
So after we have our conversation, I run through everything with people about what to expect. I lay them down, and basically I always tell people like, you're not missing a show. Because I want people to close their eyes, because a lot of things come up when we do this work, and I want you to catch it,
Yeah.
But I'm like, there's no dancing, there's no chanting. I'm not a shaman. Like we're not, it's nothing. You're not going to take any drugs, like nothing like that. So for people during the process is actually very emotional, more emotional than anything. Sometimes they do have sickness. Like sometimes we do have people who throw up. Sometimes we do have people who have flu-like symptoms and things like that
makes
through the
sense.
process. But most of the time, people just have the physical, like, I can't stop moving this. I can't, I'm like bending and I'm just moving, or like a lot of emotional things come out. And my process is I work with the high beings to flood the body with high frequency energy to push that dark stuff to the top, if you will. To where I can literally take it and remove it. So it's a lot of, I do everything in rounds of 3. There are some noise makers. There's stuff like that because a noise agitates entity. So we just do very specific things. I do it in my spirit room, which is safe and protected for people. I don't like do house calls for people. Like everybody got to come to me because it's for your own like health, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, during that process, I do touch people. I always tell people like, don't freak out. I do have to touch you. Like it's nothing weird, but I just have to like, wherever I see that entity come up, wherever I see trauma come up, that's where I have to take it, you know? So it's different for different people. Sometimes it's all like in one area. Sometimes it's in various places. Just depends on where you personally store things. You know, some people are back of the neck or, you know, core. There's a lot of people who store things in their stomach and, you know, stuff like that. So that's pretty much it. It's not that complicated. I use a certain amount of resins and herbs and things like that to burn. I hate to call it incense because it sounds so dumb, but it's like, you know, listen, the church uses the same things for thousands of years.
incense.
So, you know, it
Palo
works,
Santo.
you know?
Yeah,
Yes,
sage.
exactly. So after we're done, people feel very woozy. They feel like they've run marathons. They're very hungry. They're like, you know, so I always tell people this is a self-care day. If you got to eat that pizza, if you got to drink that wine, you're going to do it. You know, like no judgment for you today. Like we have to be nicer to ourselves. So
Yeah.
you're going to just do what you got to do today. If you need to take a 2-hour bath, if you need to watch sad movies, whatever you got to do to get
Yeah.
it out, you know? But people always feel very, very different. And I say to people too, I love telling people like right before we start, I'm like, okay, I want you to take stock of how you feel right now. And they're like, okay, you know. And I'm like, you will never feel exactly like this again.
Wow.
And so when they sit up, they look totally different. It's like a
Wow.
totally different person. And I'm working with a company now, and I didn't do an unscripted show for a very long time because I didn't know what I wanted. And I didn't want to do something cheesy. Like I really wanted to do something cool that helped people. And we finally have it right, I think, now. So one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to take a before and after photo because I've always wanted to do it, but I don't out my clients. So I just never do it. But I'm always like, oh, I wish people could see like the right before and the right after.
Right.
And now we're going to get to do it.
I'm booking my session. That's it. Has your work ever interfered with your personal relationships? Like, for example, can you go on a casual date without sensing any dark energies?
I mean, no, dating was terrible. This is terrible. Like, how do you tell people, by the way, this is what I do?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm very lucky now because I do have like, it's very credentialized for me now, you know, but in the
Right.
beginning, it
In the
was
beginning,
not.
yeah.
You know, I didn't have a book. I didn't have a show. I didn't have,
Right.
you know. So it's a weird conversation to have with people like, oh, by the way, you know, like this is,
This is my
this
life.
is what I do.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, it's just very strange. But yes, so for a while I was like, dating, no, thank you.
Wow.
How do
Oh
you
my
celebrate
gosh.
Halloween?
Well, October is usually my busiest month, naturally, because people always want to like talk about this stuff during October. So I feel like I celebrate Halloween from August until the 31st of October. So by the 31st, I'm usually like, oh, I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
So I usually just eat like, I'll make like a special dinner for like my little family or friends. And we'll have like spooky shaped pasta, you know,
That's
and like
cute.
cookie cakes that I like decorate like graveyards. And,
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and like old fashions with like little
Ooh.
clementines that are cut into, you know, jack-o'-lanterns.
Oh, that's
love
cute.
it.
I like that.
And we just watch scary movies or fun scary movies or whatever. And all through October, I like to watch like my favorite scary movies.
Which is
Oh, The Changeling with George C. Scott, which is an amazing movie. One of the best haunted house movies like ever. I love The Lady in White, which is a long ago movie that nobody even remembers, but I just think it's such a great movie and I watch it every year. Just like so many. Like I like the older ones better. But there are some like newer ones that I think are really good. Like The Night House. Like I really liked that movie. Like I like it when it's weird and atmospheric.
Yeah.
That's for me.
Question. So I was raised Catholic, and anytime I'm like either dealing with depression or I'm sad or whatever, my mom's like, "That's the devil," you know. And then my entire life, I always go, either I pray or I go to the church in search of like, get this devil off of me, you know, which is just sadness, or like when you're
Right,
lost, you know, just life happens. And I'm hearing everything you're saying, and then in the back of my head, I'm like, is like, I don't know. I'm gonna need like an hour of me just staring at the ceiling and like process everything we just.
I have a
talked
question
about.
for you. Between the both of us, who should book a session with you first?
I would say it's pretty similar. But it's nothing scary. Like nobody has anything scary. If you had real problems, I would tell you.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
But I don't know if I have a question, but it's just like, what do I believe in? Like,
Have I ruined your life?
I don't.
No,
I think
but-
that's always. I don't think that's the devil. I mean, I
wonder if it's just like a
that's what
religious
they've
thing
been
to
taught.
say. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then one more question I have. Okay, these entities, are they like, we just saw, what movie did we just see, baby?
Cobweb.
Cobweb.
Oh, I loved that movie.
So good.
Really fun.
And you know where she's like on the
Yeah.
corner of
Are
the
you
wall.
asking me if they spider walk?
No, I mean, like, is that where they like hang? They're just like,
I mean, entities, like I say, they try to look like people most of the time, especially
Wow.
that kind, right? Like, well, that wasn't what that was, but like tricksters
Yeah.
are usually the ones that try to look like people. And so, yeah, they can do all kinds of things. I mean, they don't work like we do.
Oh shoot. Okay, we're gonna do a quick this or
yes.
that Halloween edition.
All right.
Without thinking. Go ahead. You start.
no, you start.
Okay. Exercising or what?
No,
Oh.
exercising a celebrity or non-celeb.
Oh,
She has to think.
That's
of
a hard
this
one, actually.
Yeah.
I like helping both. I love helping both. I I don't think I could pick because it's like one person affects a lot of people, right? In what they do and their acting and their singing and their whatever. So I guess if I had to pick, maybe it is that because they just affect so many other people.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Influence.
Wow.
As fans, as people who watch, as people who
Right,
are in the
right.
concert.
I was gonna ask, like, does the having an entity affect someone's art?
Oh, of course.
Well,
I would say
not
yeah.
the art per se.
Oh.
Not always, unless you're like, you know, just writing like really dark shit.
Mm-hmm.
but
Right.
but it does affect other people. You have someone who is a rock star, who is like arena rock, right? So they got so many fans and they have so many concerts all over the place, right? That person singing, just them having an entity, and usually that's a higher up entity, can affect people in the audience.
Whoa. Okay. That makes sense.
Taylor freaking Swift.
No, she's wonderful. Who doesn't love Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
No, but like, you know, I've seen it happen where I was at a concert once and I knew this particular person had an entity and a fight broke out in front of me in the VIP section. That doesn't happen. It's like people who
Oh
are
yeah,
invited
I was gonna
there.
say. What?
You know what I mean? But I was like, this is why, you know, because I hadn't taken it out yet. I took it out later.
Wow.
Okay, pumpkins or skulls?
Why are you doing this?
I know it's.
Pumpkin flavored skulls.
Yes, I love that. Perfect.
Black cats or ravens?
Oh, I don't black cats.
Candy corn or caramel apple?
I like candy corns.
Pumpkin spice latte or hot apple cider? I know.
Oh, it's got to be the latte,
Yeah.
unless the cider has bourbon in it.
Oh, there you go. Full moon or dark night?
Ooh, full moon. It's
Mm.
weirder.
Zombie apocalypse or an alien invasion?
Oh, rather zombies.
Classic witch or modern vampire
Ooh,
with our invisible fangs?
I know. With our,
but witches do have spells, though. I have to
know.
say,
I know.
witches, they're good at making shit happen.
yeah, I love a good witch.
Mm-hmm.
Trick or treat?
Trick or treat.
Always tricks.
Treat. Yeah, yeah. Hey. Okay, we just have one final question.
Well, we kind of already asked, but I mean,
I mean, do you? This is yes or no. Do you see any entities entities in this room right now?
I do.
Okay.
And that's a wrap.
Like, I'm like, how
and then
many?
the TV shuts
Can we
down.
talk about how many? No. All right. That was
Wow. Are you
crazy.
terrified?
No, I want to book
Okay.
a session.
Of course.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No.
We should go together.
We should. Can we do one together? Is that
It's one-on-one. You can come
one-on-one.
together, but you'd still have to do
Okay.
it separate.
Okay.
Wow.
We'll come together and do one-on-one.
okay? Rachel, where can people find you?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I am Instagram at RH Stavis. That's basically it. I have a TikTok, but I'm not that great at it. I do put stuff up there, but find it or don't. And I do have, we are working on 2 TV series right now, which I'm really excited about. And of course, my book, Sister of Darkness, is available everywhere.
Sister of Darkness.
I need to read
I love
it.
that.
I know. Thank
Thank
you
you
so much for being here.
coming
Thank
by
you.
and sharing your gift with us. I mean, look, this is special.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
not just because it's Halloween, but like this is truly. I mean, you are one of a kind.
Oh, thank you.
So-
That's very nice.
And
So-
I'm not joking when I'm saying like probably when you all leave, I'm just gonna sit here for like a good hour and just
It's
like
a lot. It's
Yeah.
a lot of information,
So
and
much.
people don't know, and that's the crazy part. So I'm working now to like expand on my book and doing the TV series stuff because I want people to learn this so
Right.
they have it because it's an important tool.
Yeah, and thank you for helping so many people in
Yes.
the process.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll see you next episode.
And happy Halloween,
Happy
you
Halloween,
guys.
everyone. Check us out on our Patreon if you want some extra spooky stuff.
That's right.
Okay, see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.